When you said to your daughter, I'll be back soon, did you believe that?
No. If we know we're going to die, why are we going? And we talked about that pretty much every night, and we decided that we're not going after Bin Laden for the fame. We're not going for the reward, because we'll never get that. We're going after Osama Bin Laden tonight for the first Americans to fight Al-Qaeda to the death toe-to-toe. And those were the passengers on United Flight 93 on 9/11. We're going after Bin Laden tonight for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, a beautiful morning. And 45 minutes later, she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper because that was a better alternative than whatever in the hell's going on inside at 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit that we'll never know. And this woman, she probably looked down and made a choice. She might have grabbed a stranger's hand, and her last gesture of human decency was holding her skirt down as she killed herself. These people were never supposed to be in the fight. Navy SEALs are supposed to be in the fight, and that's why we're going.
Wow. So at what point do you park all of that and it becomes about doing the job? Was it when you're in the helicopter?
The flight in is when it really sunk in, because we got 90 minutes to fly in, and we could be shot down at any moment. And so what I was doing is I was counting. I'm on the helicopter, 90-minute flight in, and I'm counting from 0 to 1,000. I learned this as a sniper, counting 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 0. I'm alert, aware, I'm looking around, but I'm counting to keep my mind occupied. And I don't know why I remember this. I don't know how. It's some sort of weird, it sounds Hollywood, but I'm counting, and I'm like 556, 557. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. And I don't know how I remembered that. That's what George Bush said on 9/11. I was like, well, screw counting. I'm going to say that again. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. And we're still flying. And then the air crew guy reaches over and he opens the helicopter door. And I look down, and that's when the heart starts beating. I'm with my guys. And then that's when all hell broke loose.
So describe what happened next then, Rob.
Well, we came up with the perfect plan. And we rehearsed the perfect plan. And the perfect plan was the first helicopter is going to fly and hover right above the yard in front of the Bin Laden's house, like in between the guest house and Bin Laden's house. My helicopter is going to go outside the 20-foot walls because the whole compound was surrounded by big walls. We're going to let the dog, his handler, a couple snipers, and an interpreter out. And then my team is going to go to the rooftop. We're going to jump onto the roof. We're going to jump onto his balcony. So we're going to hit him probably through that window on his balcony, and then we're going to get him, the team on the bottom, the team on the top. That's a perfect plan. But the first helicopter, when it tried to hover, and I'm not a pilot, but the pilot explained to me that it was like 1 or 2 degrees Celsius warmer, and there was an updraft because the walls were different than the fences we were training on. And the pilot immediately realized he couldn't hold a hover, but if he would have tried to power it up, he would have rolled it and killed everybody. He realized, and this all happened in less than a blink of an eye, he realized if he could turn it and pin the tail on that one of those big walls and pin the nose into the dirt, we might all live. And so he did that, boom. They all jumped out and they're starting it. When we let our guys out, our pilot saw them land. So he went up to take us to the roof, but he realized if he couldn't hover, we can't hover. So he just went back down and basically said to my team, get out. So we got out. And so now we're supposed to be on the roof, but now we're outside. I'm looking over the fence. I can see Bin Laden's house, but because we did such great preparation, I know off to my left, there's a double door that goes into the courtyard. We can blow that up with a 7-foot charge of C6, simple. So we went over there, put one on there, blasted it, and the double door opened like a tin can, but there was a brick wall behind it. And the dude that was in front of me that set the charge, he turned around and said, failed breach, this is bad. And I said, no, this is good. That's a fake door. And nobody does that. He's in there. Okay, now I know there's a double door this way to my right. So, because we knew that it opened because we'd seen cars come in and out. So I came over. I didn't know they crashed yet. The way the helicopters worked was dash 1 and dash 2. What I heard them saying was dash 1 going around. Dash 1 going around. What they were saying, because I assumed they took fire and they're just going to do a quick racetrack, come back in and engage. What they were saying was dash 1 going down. I didn't hear it. So I came over the radio, said something along the lines of, this is so-and-so. I'm going to blast the carport. And they said, no, don't blast it. We'll open it. And the carport, the 2 doors opened and a glove came out with a thumbs up with a glove that I recognized. So my guys are in there. I don't know how, but now I'm at a point in life where it doesn't matter why you're here. You just are. So I just went in there. There's a gunfight going on, and I got into, there was an explosion. I got into Bin Laden's house. My team had already killed 3 terrorists, and they're working the first hallway on the first floor. So I got into a room, because I always tell people when I tell the story, I hope you never find yourself in this situation. But if you're in a shootout in a house, get out of the hallway. It's just good business. So I'm in this room, and my guys are in front of me, and I remember being so impressed because everyone ahead of me knows they can die at any minute. I'm even looking for bombs, but it's not bothering them. We're doing what we do. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I was just proud of them. And when I say that I don't want to know what you think the house looks like, the woman that found Bin Laden, and she ended up being 100% right on everything. She said, I don't know where it is, but there will be a stairwell going to the second floor, and you will run into Khalid Bin Laden. He will be armed. And she was so dope. She said, and if you can ace him, you get a shot at the big guy. That was so cool the way she said that. So we ran into him, and it was quiet. I was about 7 guys back at this point because, guys are peeling off and doing their job. So I'm slowly making my way up the train. We're going up a stairwell. We saw Khalid, and he kind of jumped behind this banister. So it was just because the stairs go up and then they come back. I'm 7 guys back. He jumps behind a banister. And normally, because we'd been in combat in urban environments a lot, normally I'm going to pull some dudes and take them to another place because if you're going up, someone can throw stuff down on you, like a grenade. But I'm here, and I remember watching this. There's 2 grown men separated by 10 inches. They both have automatic weapons, and they're trying to kill each other. I'm gonna die tonight anyway. I got to see what happens. The point man, again, was so smart. All he did was he whispered to him. He said, Khalid. And he said, like, Irfai Dek, drop your gun, something like that. Come here. Anyway, he said something in 2 different languages that he knew Khalid spoke, and that confused Khalid. So all Khalid did was he leaned his head over the banister and said, what? That's how that ended. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I never would have thought of that. Brilliant. The guy's brilliant. So then we stepped over his body, then we went to the second floor, and it kind of branched out into different rooms, different hallways. So everybody in front of me went to the left and right because you got to clear unknown spaces. There's unknown people. You got to cover them, all this stuff. And then that's how we got down to 2 guys. And then that's when we went up the last set of the stairs. And that was actually something too. This is my part of the story. He might have a different story. But when I was holding him, not holding him, I have my hand on his shoulder because I'm just letting him know he's got a guy. And my job is to look back. His job is to look forward. But when I squeeze him, I'm telling him through effective communication, we have enough guys, but I got nobody. It's just 2 of us. And he's pimping me like, we got to go. Because what he's saying is there's suicide bombers up there, but we can beat them, but we got to go now. Right. And I'm like in a spot where, and all of a sudden he said, hey man, these bitches is getting truculent. And I remember, this is going to be my last joke in my life because we're going to blow up. I whispered in his ear, I don't think that word means what you think it means. And then we went up the stairs.
Wow.
So describe the moment then. Like, what were your thoughts and emotions, Rob, when you realised that it is who you've come to find?
Well, initially it was, initially I thought we were going to die, but then I shot him. And just because of what we do. So Amal, his wife, had been shot in the leg before I got there. And I need to move her out of the way because I just killed Bin Laden at the foot of his bed off to my left. I want to move her now because other SEALs are going to come in. I don't want her getting caught in a crossfire because, again, we're the good guys. As I'm moving her, I look down, and as a father, I always talk about the humanity of these missions because even doesn't matter where you go, not everyone's a combatant, and a lot of people just want to get on with their lives. They don't want a bunch of big soldiers with green faces in their house. They just want to live their lives. I looked down and his 2-year-old son, Hussein, was standing there. And I remember thinking, this poor kid has nothing to do with this. Like, why did he have to see this? So I moved both of them, and then other SEALs are coming in the room at this point. And then I kind of stopped for a second. And one of my buddies, I heard Bin Laden take his last breath. I can hear him exhale. I can see how it's a very devastating head wound. And I'm just sort of standing there gathering my thoughts. And one of my buddies comes up to me and he goes, hey man, are you good? And I said, what do we do now? And he got this big smile and he goes, now we find the computers, bro. We do this every night. Hundreds of times you've done this. Come on. I said, yeah, you're right. I'm back. Oh my God. And his response to me was, yeah, you just killed Osama Bin Laden. Your life just changed. Now get to fucking work.
And in that moment where you were saying, what do we do now? I don't think you would have said that very often before on a mission because you were working. What had happened in your brain at that moment that kind of was a bit of a full stop?
Well, it's more of we might live, that we might pull this off. And it wasn't a long pause. It was more of a, it was long enough to hear him exhale, like a steam coming out of his head. And then my buddy popped up, and he's like, he was just kind of getting me, like, get back to, come on.
And was that
he had been downstairs, and he saw how many offices and computers and hard drives and intelligence and raw opium and all this shit. Like, we got to get a bunch of stuff out of here. So get your bag. We got to put him in a body bag. We got to confirm it's him first. And we got some work to do before we can leave. And then we got a 90-minute flight out. So let's, we wanted to be on target for no more than 32 minutes, and we hit around 47. So you're in a hurry.